Okay, I think you can start. Okay, so this is ME511 Mechatronics, Mechatronics 2, if you like to call it that way. How many of you have taken Mechatronics 1, 411? Quite a few. Okay, so I think Mechatronics 1 covered mostly system dynamics, MATLAB, Simulink, and less emphasis on tinkering. And I'm trying to lay more emphasis on building and tinkering and design, basically. Okay, so I think there's some overlap, but there will be a lot of new things in 511. Now, some of you have not taken 411. You don't really require 411 to take 511. At least with me, you don't need to take 411. Maybe with some other instructor, you need to take 411 before 511. So if anybody wants to join, if they ask you, then tell them they're welcome to take 511 without taking 411. So my name is Pranav Bonsu. Just call me by my first name, Pranav. And I'm an assistant professor here in this department. I'm an appointment with mechanical engineering, though we are a mechanical industrial engineering department. Okay, so the lectures meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and in the schedule it says 2 to 3:15, but really this class is supposed to be only one. You're only supposed to meet 2 hours per week because 2 hours you're going to meet for labs, right? So 4 credit hours, 2 here and 2 in the labs. So what I'll do is I'll try to finish by 2:50. Maybe I'll go a little bit over than 3, but I will never go over 3 p.m. For the exams, there are 2 exams. We might go a little over, so you get extra time. We meet here, but then I'll show you. You don't have to come for class if you don't want to. It's all recorded on Zoom. There's a lab component to this class, and you need to sign up for it. And I'm sure you guys have signed up for that lab. It meets on Tuesday and Wednesday. You need to only sign up for 1 slot. In order to go to the lab, if you have not taken 411, it's kind of weird that there's no elevator to the lab. You need to walk to the 3rd floor in SEL, and then, sorry, you need to take the elevator to the 3rd floor and then take the stairs upstairs. Is there an elevator? There's an elevator? Okay, this is what I was told. There's no elevator. I think there's an elevator in a different building which you can take and walk there. Okay, there's maybe a way to get there without by using an elevator. As I said, there are no prereqs for this course. I'll teach you anything you need for the course. Of course, if that's not sufficient, then you need to search for information on the web, and whatever we're doing is pretty much also available on the web in some format or other. Sometimes just a forum which will give you this information. Well, am I loud enough for the people behind? Can you hear me? Okay. This course we'll be using Arduino for the labs. That requires C programming, and it's very basic C programming, nothing fancy. So I think that even if you don't have programming experience, we should be fine. We'll be using Tinkercad for the lab. This is basically a place where you can simulate Arduino circuits as well as write code. And so you can do that. You test your code before you stand up wiring everything together, because it takes a lot of time. We'll be using a little bit of 3D design in Tinkercad. And then all the software for this course is free. That is Arduino and Tinkercad, which is online. There's a textbook, which I'm going to refer to. Now I know that some of you got a textbook for 411. I don't know if did you buy the book for 411? Okay. You don't require to buy the textbook. I'll use that book, but I will pretty much provide you with notes. Okay, so you do not need to buy the book. I decided that I'm going to do this slightly differently from, or maybe this was what was used in 411. There is homeworks, which are pretty much every week, except for the week there are exams. That homework is just what I teach in class. I just want you to read the notes, and that makes you, this is 511, you're here for 511, Mechatronics. Okay, have a seat. So the homeworks are just supposed to make you read the material in the class, and you submit it, and then you just move on to the next homework. The exams are probably based on the homeworks and the lab, so I'm expecting that you're aware of what's going on in the homework in the lab, and especially the lab, because some labs are done in groups, so sometimes people don't take it seriously. So I'm just going to ensure that you're making the effort. So the exams are going to be homeworks and the labs. That is, the questions in the exams would include the lab components too. There is a project, so there's a lab, which, as I said, will meet upstairs. I'll get to the details of the lab, but not all labs you need to come here and do the lab. Some of the labs are individual work to be done at home. There's a project which is 30% of your credit. I'll come to that in a bit, and then I'll give bonus questions as in the semester for you to earn more points. The lectures are, I'm going to teach here, but you can go to Zoom, and in fact, there are 3 people on Zoom already. You can actually go to Zoom and view my lectures online. You don't have to come here if you don't want to be. And sometimes I understand that it's Chicago, so you're not living close by. You need to travel all the way from home, and you don't want to do it on, say, a Tuesday or Thursday. It's fine. You can just watch the lecture on Zoom. That's the short link. It's on the syllabus too. But then I also record my lectures and I post them on Blackboard besides the notes. So if you miss that also, that is, you can't be here in person or you can't attend the Zoom lectures, you can also always refer to the video and the notes. Attendance is not taken for the labs, for the lectures. The labs is a different issue. You need to be present for the labs. That's important. The homework is due on Monday. So we meet on Tuesday. So I'm trying to get you done by Monday. So you're done with whatever was started in the previous week. And then we move on to the new material. All homework is individual work, no group work. You can discuss among yourself, but just don't copy each other's solutions. And I'm saying this because there's an exam, and that exam tests you on what you did in the homework. So if you do group work for homework, then it's going to affect the way you answer the exams. All the homework is going to be uploaded via Gradescope. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you full credit. Obviously, if you submit on by due date, then I'll give you 50% if you submit 1 week late. And after that, we just want to stop grading because, just one other course I taught was like, I just allowed people to submit anytime in the semester, and it was like a big hassle for me to grade the homeworks later on. So we'll stick to this for this course. That is, you can not submit after 1 week from the due date of the homework. There are 2 individual in-class exams. They will be here, and I said we'll go over to 50 minutes or 1 hour so that you get extra time. I will allow you to get a formula sheet, a letter size page where you can write anything you want. There'll be no makeup, and then you should keep your mobiles off. Calculators, people ask me, especially undergraduates, which calculator should I buy? If you have a calculator, don't buy anything. But if you want to shop for a calculator, what I recommend is search for FE exams. So this is the fundamentals of engineering exam, which people give after finishing undergrad, which then lets you answer the professional PE exam. Look at the calculators for FE exam, and you can buy one of those. They're actually pretty cheap, like $5, $10. Some fancy ones, maybe $20. So if you want to buy a calculator, go for a calculator which is approved for the FE exam. And some of you might want to take the FE exam too later on. My office hours are via Zoom, Monday, Friday, and I might change them if that's not suitable for others. And anytime you feel free to email me. Okay, we have 2 TAs for the lab. I think 1 TA will run the Tuesday lab, 1 TA will run the Wednesday lab. Is Sina over here? Okay, Sina is over here. He's a new PhD student at UIC, and he will be one of the TA. I think he's going to be the TA for Wednesday because he has a class on Tuesday, so he can't teach on Tuesday. And you'll come to know what goes in the lab after we do 2 weeks of labs. I will post the labs on Blackboard, and what I've done for the labs is, and this happens usually, which is you come for the lab and there's like 1 hour you're figuring out what, something is there and you're trying to figure out, and you lose time, and there's only 1 hour, 50 minutes for the lab. So there is a pre-lab reading, and there's sort of questions which you want to answer so that you're prepared for the lab. So when you come for the lab, if you did the pre-lab, you're just going to go full speed with the labs, and hopefully you'll be done with the lab in the 1 hour, 50 minutes. And I don't know how the TAs want to handle this. They might say that if you don't finish in 2 hours, then you stop, you cannot continue. you lose points. You don't want that to happen. So I don't want to intrude, and I let them decide how they want to take care of the lab, but just respect their time. They want to be, finish it in 2 hours and take off and do the other things, because they're only supposed to work so many hours per week. So I would say try to do the pre-lab reading before you come for the lab. So you need to complete the lab during the lab hours. Okay. Some labs are individual work. Okay, so the first lab actually you'll be doing at home. There's no meeting. But some labs I want you to do individually, just because I want you to learn those parts of the lab yourself and not do them as group work. So you'll be coming to the lab, but you'll be working individually on those labs. And I think there are like few labs which are like that, and many of them are group labs. I forgot to say, there's no lab reports. I did not like to write lab reports as undergrad. I don't want you to write lab reports. Whatever you do is in the lab, and then you're gone. In fact, after you're gone, I expect you to work on the next lab, which is do the pre-lab reading and quiz. So there's no lab report, and I think that's kind of important for me to not make people do this tedious reports which have no value, in my opinion. Okay, so the project is actually something which I've done in the past. By the way, this is my first time teaching this course at UIC, but I did teach a course in another institution on mechatronics to undergrads. And from that, after teaching that, there were these 2 students who wanted to do independent study. Okay, it's like a course which you do with a professor, and it's something based on the student interest. And what they decided to do was they created an animatronic face of the president of the university where I worked. That's the president. He retired, Ricardo Romo. There's no volume. There's no volume. See if I can. I've always struggled with volume here. Never mind. So what they did was they actually submitted to Instructable, which is like a website where you can find DIY stuff. Yeah, so many people have their projects over here. It's owned by Autodesk, which is the same company which does CAD, which has this AutoCAD. So he basically one of the students actually wrote it up there, and then he actually also submitted. They have a contest, and he submitted it in a contest, and they were like among the top 20 out of 220 entries in that contest in 2016. It turned out that we actually got some press coverage for that. It was picked up by blogs, and if you just search for Robobot, then you should find links to that. So then the next time I taught this class, I actually had this project and this was a big class, not 25, it was like 120 students in that class. So I divided them into groups. They had to go and meet a professor. They had to take a photo of the professor. They had to make the professor talk. And then they had to create an interactive animatronics. So the animatronics earlier was just talking, but here they had sensors on the animatronics, and the animatronics interacted with the person. So this one, unfortunately, there is no audio, but I do have subtitles there. So the professor, this is somebody called Dr. Gao at University of Texas, San Antonio. And then when you turn the face, there's a tilt sensor which basically determines orientation, and it basically talks. The link to this, I wish I had the link. It's tiny.cc/Robo-prof, but there are like all the 40 projects are over there. So what I decided to do this time is we're going to have a similar project, just that I'm not going to tell you who to impersonate. You can choose whoever you want. And then, if you choose a celebrity, probably their audio recordings and photos are available on the web. I would expect you to do this in groups of 2. We'll have weekly milestones. This will be later half of the semester. And then we'll have a public display upstairs here in MI atrium. And then there's no lab report, but for this one, I do expect you to write it down and I would expect it to write it down as a DIY tutorial. So similar to the Instructables where you put things down. And I think it's a good thing to do because number one, somebody else can profit from that if you put it online. Second is when you go to interview, you can perhaps use it to market yourself for a job. And so that's the goal behind having a report for that. And everybody is going to have a new or a different project, right? You'll have different sensors, you'll have different motors, you'll have different mechanisms. So I think there'll be a lot of interesting things, which I think I would like other people, you to share with other people. This is what the course is about. This is picked from the textbook. Mechatronics, by definition, doesn't really focus too much on design. So it's more of how do you make a system with actuators, sensors, microcontrollers, and so on. And there are other pieces there. But then I want to have a little bit of design in this course, not too much. At least I would expect you to know how to do design using easy tools, not Inventor, maybe Tinkercad. And then I would like you to learn 3D printing. So I'm trying to create a lab where you'll do that. And then putting it all together is what Mechatronics is all about. So we'll be covering these components in the course. So in a nutshell, it's basically design, circuits, programming, and I would say the best way to learn is tinkering. It's like it's not like a calculation. It's not like there's one right answer. There are many ways to do things, and your best, the most helpful person in this case is not me, but it's the internet. If you go and search for your problems, you'll find that there'll be somebody with a solution, and not one, there'll be multiple solutions. I want you to develop this attitude that there is a solution out there. It's probably been done by someone. It's all on the internet. You need to pick it up and then use it for yourself. And it's absolutely fine if you take somebody else's solution and use it for your project. It's not, I don't think it's considered copying in this case, because it's not like an essay where you just copy paste something. It's just, if I make something and I tell you to do the same thing, it's not that easy to just reproduce somebody's hardware project. It's just harder thing. So even if you achieve that is you can take somebody's excellent project and reproduce it. I think that's like, there's value in that. Okay. But for homeworks, obviously, I don't want you to copy each other's solution.